everybody, welcome to Camel City Chat. I'm your host, John McPherson. I'm here with Tommy Priest, and I guess we got to do cheers?
Cheers.
Cheers. All right, we'll get started.
Hi, Camel City.
We got people behind us ordering, that's good.
Yeah, so you're looking at the Coffee Park Airstream. It's been here for 13 years and some odd months.
Yeah, and as they pull away, which is cool, then they can really see it.
Right.
We talked to the ladies inside, and I think you're okay with it. We're going to let Stabler at the next, at our first break, kind of shoot some video in there so people can see what the inside looks like.
Right on.
Because, you know, there's plenty of room for everybody in there, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. It's 119 square feet.
So you've seen the chat before. You've commented on some of our guests and things like that. So you know we got some questions first.
Oh yeah, you had one of my great friends on last time with Owens Daniels.
And you're a photographer too.
Indeed.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
All right. So we're doing this natural because of COVID and stuff. So you'll see cars going by. We got the beautiful setting of the children's home behind us here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite piece of property in town.
Yeah. Yeah. And mock orange. You got neighbors here, and then on the inside here, this is you too, right?
Oh yeah. We've got a little micro lounge.
Yeah. So we'll get started. And our first question for you is, where are you from and how long you been here?
I'm from Roland, North Carolina, which no one's ever heard of. It's a little whistle stop in the eastern part of the state near south of the border. So if you've ever seen that tacky tourist trap, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Define tacky, because, I mean, come on now.
Well, we could go into cultural appropriation if you want to.
I would say that. Yeah, I would say that you could definitely go down those paths there.
Definitely.
But I mean, that was like the only place you could get Blemen's ginger ale for such a long time.
Oh yeah.
And the hot stuff is good.
The hot stuff is good. Yeah, I've been through Blenheim multiple times. It was
How long
nearby.
you been here?
1980.
Okay.
40 years.
What brought you here?
Family.
Family. Okay.
I was a child.
Okay.
I had no choice in the matter.
All right. So we'll get to that. All right. Then where's your favorite place to eat?
A food truck.
Is it a particular one or just any
food truck? I mean, there were particular ones. Some of them are now gone.
Right.
Favorite one right now? Man, that's tough. I mean, Taqueria Luciano's always has a near and dear space in my heart.
Because they were over there for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were putting food trucks on this lot before breweries were in town.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, so I just have a passionate love affair with food trucks. We used to have food truck rallies out here all the time.
Right. Two of my friends have these real estate companies over here, so it's a neat little area. And of course,
Forsyth Realty, they're great folks.
Yep. And the soccer people used to have that building.
They had that building, and they were over there, and we've seen a lot of folks come in and out of this property since we've been here. But I know that Mock Orange, they're here to stay.
Yeah, this was a good move for everyone in this area to have Mock Orange come here because they were definitely a draw down.
And it gives them an opportunity for folks to be able to test drive a bike without having to be in the West End curve.
Watch out for
traffic.
Yep. So a food truck. Now, what have you been to the location now where he's got the permanent for?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You know, that was like an Indian restaurant, but it was merged before it was that, and that didn't work out. And then he went in there, and I'm like, I really hope it goes well for him because that's just such a hidden spot.
It seems like he's doing okay.
Good,
especially during our COVID era. He seems to be doing all right. Just saw him last night.
Good. All right. Cool. Yeah. Now, what's your favorite thing to do around here?
Right now?
Yeah.
Since COVID, post up at Hoots.
Post up at Hoots.
Yep.
Okay.
At the Millworks, finish the day of work, and then go grab a drink and go home.
All right.
Yeah. But that's been my pandemic hideout.
I think if I went to Hoots, I would end up at Sutler's.
Oh yeah.
You know, I just does he need help? Does he want me? You know, we need to call him and get him on the chat.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
See, I was on the ABC board. I don't know if you knew that.
No.
And I had to resign because we moved out of Louisville. So now I can call people. But when I was like on the ABC board, like I wanted to do the different distilleries and stuff, and it was like, is that a good thing to do? But
conflict of interest.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was really funny because I was at a bar and a friend of mine's husband was running the bar and he tried to give me a drink and I looked at the thing and she goes, he's not going to charge you for that. And I looked at him and he looked at me and he goes, and I gave her the card and she goes, what the heck? He's on the ABC board. He can't take a free drink from me.
Exactly.
Yeah. You gotta respect that stuff. So I do realize something, and I'm kind of ashamed. I'm sorry that I haven't done this yet. So I have never seen you without a hat. So I'm gonna do the interview like in the Tommy apparel.
Beautiful.
So what's up with the hat?
The hat goes back to when my grandfather died of melanoma.
Okay.
And he had just massive amounts of skin cancers all around here. Never wore a hat.
Right.
So it's kind of an homage to that. And then,
That's cool.
And then after that as well, my best man
Right.
was a Rastafarian.
Right.
And always had his head covered.
Right.
And so it's kind of a homage to him. Rest his soul as well.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, and it's kind of the thing.
Yeah. No, and you know, I
try to do things intentionally.
Right. Well, we had talked about it
it's become
ahead
a
of time.
moniker
Yeah.
of sorts.
No, I mean, and you were, when I put this on right before you started, I said, hey, look, man, I brought my hat. And you're like, it's finally time for this weather.
Exactly.
Yeah, so,
Thank God.
God, it feels so good.
It's coffee weather again.
It's coffee weather, and you and I both have ice, though. But, I mean, we both got flip-flops on and shorts. I mean, this is
It's that transition period, you know?
Realtors aren't supposed to dress like this, but it's like, you know, hey,
Why not?
This is how I do work, so.
That's good.
Yeah.
If
All right,
you
well,
can't be comfortable, then why do it?
That's true. Well, let's talk about, I want to know more about you because, you know, I know that you're involved with Arts Unite and many other things, and we're going to get to those. But I want to go back to where you basically started things out, and you've got a friend that's wanting to say hey to you.
Hi.
We're doing a show.
What's happening?
Hey.
Cool, you're on air.
Yeah, no, yeah. Say hey,
hi,
everybody
Camel
on YouTube.
City.
Hi, Camel City.
Yeah, cool. All right.
If you want to early vote, it is October 15th to the 31st. Could I put a sign down here that says that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
Even I'll agree to that. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
man. Bring it.
Come in your house and bring a sign.
See ya.
Of course, man. Yeah. I mean, we've already got signs around here. You got this one, you got that one. I
Yeah,
mean, you've
man.
always...
And people just bring them,
Yeah.
which is great.
And that's where I wanted to go with the next question. So that's kind of nice that he did that. You're a very passionate person.
Okay.
I think so.
I'll accept that.
You're involved with a lot of stuff. And I mean, you know, what's that old saying? No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And I mean, you care a lot. And you know a lot.
I love this town.
Right.
I really do.
And that's why I'm doing this show, is because I love this town and I want people
Beautiful.
to know all the people around it.
Wonderful.
So tell me about you.
Man, that's
Way
a tough
back.
question.
So, I mean,
way back.
You were not born over near Lumberton with the intention of
Opening a coffee
a
shop.
coffee shop.
I actually did move back to Winston from Appalachian in 1994 to open a coffee shop.
Okay.
And
So you graduated from App?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
In what year?
94.
Okay. So I left in 91.
Oh, you
Graduated
did?
in 91,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, we crossed paths then.
333.
Yeah.
Yeah, got to get to, yeah.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
I love that place.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's one of the few places that, yeah, I could move back to Boone.
I'm heading to Boone this weekend.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife's heading today because
Right.
my daughter followed in my footsteps, so she's up
An
there right
educated
now.
child.
Yes.
Yes.
Indeed.
It's always a great day to be a mountaineer.
Indeed.
Yep. So tell me about you.
So I moved back here in '94. Was going to open a coffee shop on Hawthorne in an old house with my roommate at the time, and it just did not go well at all. The neighborhood was not ready to let businesses encroach into the West Highlands neighborhood.
Okay.
So the deal just kind of fell apart.
Yeah, I'm trying to think on Hawthorne where that would be.
The second house from the West End Auto Clinic.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful old, probably 1920s construction.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 stories.
Okay.
Yeah, we were going to run a traditional coffee shop for that time, which had been poetry slams.
Kind of like Rainbow was.
Kind of like
up,
Rainbow was, right?
Up off of
On Broad
Summit.
Street. Yeah.
So I mean, you know, I go back to the Summit days of Rainbow.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
And
you
that's
know
a way
where
back.
you know where 4th Street used to be. Then you know, before that was Schober's. If you're at 4th Street filling station and you go up Summit,
Yeah.
Rainbow was on the right.
I'll be.
And then it moved from there to in front of Augsburg Lutheran Church to where the dessert place is now, in the big
Really?
White House.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Gee whiz.
Yeah,
I didn't
and
know
then
it
it-
had multiple locations.
Yeah, and then it moved over to where what Miami Cafe is now,
Right.
or whatever that is. Yeah,
Or was there.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was an interesting time, and it fell apart. Ended
Right.
up working for my dad. I did janitorial for
Okay.
a couple of years. So we cleaned the local Mayberries in town, the
Right.
mock tires. We cleaned the garages.
Right.
Travel around the state, cleaning different things, and
Right.
got a phone call from a friend one day, and I went down to Spevco in Pofftown, sat on a speaker stack, interviewed with this guy from Jersey. And he's like, "Hey, so you know how to play this card game?" I'm like, "Yeah." And the card game was Magic the Gathering.
Okay.
Which was the #1 selling game in the world that no one knew was the #1 selling game in the world.
Yep.
And that started a marketing career that I didn't know I ever wanted.
Right.
And so I traveled that summer and got to travel the entire country. I was on Horde Festival, I was on the National Off-Road Biking Association, National Inline Skating Series, did several state fairs, and then came home and was like, okay, well, that was fun. And the tour was over, and then I got a phone call the next month.
Right.
You know anything about cameras? I was like, yeah, I've been shooting for a while. You know anything about computers? I'm like, yeah, I know that. And then I went out and helped Sony launch their first camera line, their first PC line, in coordination with, Microsoft and IBM and, God, who else was there?
Gosh, I wish you'd done something. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So that just opened up an entire new
Holy
career
cow,
pathway.
Tommy. Yeah.
So I became a subject matter expert in digital photography at its infancy.
Right.
And laptops when they were first coming out, and Sony's first line. And then it just kept going from there. Then it became the Pokemon craze. Then I was working for Sony, and I was working for Nintendo, and then I was working for Sony, Nintendo, and Wizards
And you're
of the
freelancing,
Coast.
or are you working for?
I was working for a firm out of Montclair, New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, and we just did blue chip clients and high impact experiential marketing.
Yeah.
I taught 100,000 people how to play Magic that summer.
Are you serious?
100,000 people.
That's crazy.
It was insane. It was so fun.
Are you still teaching?
I could.
Yeah.
I have 10,000 cards sitting at home still. Haven't played that game in 15 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, so did you work for Spevco?
No, they were our primary vendor.
Okay.
Yeah, I did have a office right across the street from them for, I don't know, a couple years, right around 9/11 actually.
Yeah, I need to get out to Spevco because I've had several friends who have worked there over the year. They, for people that don't know it, they're basically the people that build the Transformers,
Exactly.
the real ones.
Oh yeah.
It's like, and it's like, where the heck did that come from?
And everything that came out of the driveway was a prototype.
Right.
There was no off the shelf for this.
I mean, you take that thing and turn it into like a 5-bedroom house with
You could.
Yeah, with what they do.
Oh yeah, we had one truck for SAP that
Right.
was 3,800 square feet. Whenever it was expanded, it was 18.5 feet tall. It measured about 30 feet across. It had a
Holy
5-dimensional theater in it. So we had the first 5,000 lumen lamp projectors in the United States for this thing. They had money.
Wow. I got a buddy of mine that works for a lighting company, and he was involved when one of the big truck companies introduced their new line. They projected it on the Hoover Dam, and it showed it. This was like maybe a year or two ago. Shows it breaking through the dam with all the stuff.
Yeah.
And
That's
he's
gorgeous.
just like, oh yeah, and he's great. I need to get him on here because he lives in Winston. He's a buddy of mine, and he's like, hey, you can't do that. And they're like, what are you talking about? You got to do this. And it's like, and then they fix it, and it works. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of smart people. I wish I was smarter.
Well,
We're struggling.
I think you.
What'd you study at App?
Oh, geez, what did I study at App? I started off there. I was like, oh, I'm going to go be a psychologist.
Right.
And I walked into the department, took the first class, and I'm like,
Art?
It sucks.
Yeah. Wasn't that Art? Was it Art Skibby or whatever?
Art Skibby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy's crazy.
Dr. Skibby
Yeah.
would always give his students you can feel okay and call me and say, Dr. Skibby, I'm much too well to come to class today.
Right. I remember that.
And he would accept that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I want to go up to the Parkway and play with friends and be like, you're excused.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he believed in mental health day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually was in that that department. You're about 4 years younger than me, and I remember watching Quincy one time, and there was a guy that they sex age and raced his skull. And I'm like, oh, that's what I'm gonna do. So I took forensics at App.
I took forensics too.
And then did you go to Bass's?
Yeah, the human decomposition study
Folks,
farm.
we have been to BARF, Bass's Anthropological Research Facility, which is located, the office is located in the UT
UTK.
Stadium. And then a mile away from the lunchroom is where they let bodies decompose, so they can tell you exactly what animals and critters come at
So
certain
did
times.
Dr. Bass tell you about the story whenever the frats thought it was a good idea to go grab some cadavers and
I
bring
think
them
that
for
may have
parties?
happened after us.
Oh yeah?
Yes, because I don't remember that story.
That was an interesting story.
And of course, Patricia Cornwell wrote a book about it called The Body Farm.
You're the only person I've ever met that knows that place exists.
I was there.
Yeah.
There was a man who was probably
So you
like
studied under
6
Harvard
foot-
heirs.
Right, and then
Yeah.
Doc Ashby came around.
Right.
Yeah. So Doc Ashby passed away. I saw his
Oh, no.
obituary in the last year or two.
Oh wow.
Well, we'll digress. Okay, so do you
Yeah.
even want to do the show, or we'll just let him film
We
us for the
just
next
sit here
hour?
and
Yeah.
talk.
All right. So
So I was in. So I started off with that, and it just wasn't for me. The first first professor I had, I was just like, this is awful.
Right.
Then I was like, okay, well, what about sociology? It didn't fit. And then I walked into the anthropology department, and I was like, oh, okay, this fits.
Right.
And I stuck around there for a while until I landed in the English department. So I ended up in the English department and the anthro department, which it was lucky it was in the same Sanford Hall. So I just go upstairs, downstairs all the time. And it became quite apparent that the critical theory basis for both of these disciplines were shared.
Right.
So I was able to just maybe write one paper and be able to translate it for 2 classes. And then became a darling of the critical theorist in the anthro department, who's like, nobody gets this.
Yep.
This is the part that nobody likes. They all wanted to be archaeologists. I
Right.
wanted to be a cultural anthropologist. And then I messed around with the feminist materialist theorists on campus, and
You're a thinker.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's show them. Stabler, you did some, did some overheads while we were getting ready. So let's show them what the location where we are, and then we'll come back and I'll ask you a couple more questions. Take
Awesome.
a quick break.
Sounds great.
Welcome back to Camel City Chat again. This is Tommy Priest, and we're talking about what got you here. We went through Appalachian, and I want to skip to something. I asked you real quick about this, but I noticed the band. But what makes you love Winston-Salem so much?
Because it's Winston,
Right.
and
Smallest big town in the world.
it's the biggest little city on the East Coast, just
Yeah.
to borrow the Reno phrase.
Right.
To me, there's a creative vortex here. There's antiquity, and then there's new, and
Right.
there's the industrialization, and then there's the community netting, and then it's a comfortable place to live. I mean, one of the things that I love most about Winston is that I feel comfortable walking into any space in this town, no matter what I'm attired in, no matter how my day's been, and I know that I'm going to meet a friendly face.
Agreed.
And I think that's really it. It's comfortable.
You and I were talking during the break, and I think the charity of this town is amazing. You tell me the story about
We
you
have
and
so
Chad
many
Nance.
nonprofits here. It's unbelievable. And then in order to have that many nonprofits, that means that we have a very giving community.
Right, the charity of the town. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Now, what were you saying about, there was a fire and you...
Oh, there was a fire at Sherwood Station several years ago, and whenever I saw the kids that were impacted, and I had small children at the time, it became apparent that we had to help.
Right.
And so we utilized this space, Coffee Park, to receive donations, and it was literally overwhelming. We had people coming from all across the Triad that felt the same way, and it was all about framing this story around these children had lost their bikes, they'd lost their toys, they'd lost everything.
Right.
And I've never seen such an outpouring.
And it wasn't junk either. I mean, people were buying
It
new
was
stuff and
brand
money.
new stuff. They were
Yeah.
dropping off money.
God.
They were dropping off food cards. They were dropping off bikes. It was a beautiful thing. I mean, we ended up with so much. We had to find overflow facility in order to receive the rest of the goods to be able to disperse to other people in need. And that kind of started my interest in, okay, what can we do to help the community? And probably the next piece that happened after that was the beautiful piece of property you see across the street in the frame.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to be sold off for $10 million, 100 acres. And people have salivated, developers specifically, about this piece of property for years and years and years. But the folks that were volunteering at the farm up on the hill were utilizing the farm animals as therapy animals for kids. And they were getting ready to lose their home,
Right.
and lose their opportunity to help the kids.
Yep.
So they tried traditional methods, PR, go to the paper, try to, rally the cause, and they got worn out. So about 5 or 6 of them ended up down here one day, and I gave them a little fire and brimstone about how to make it happen. And we created the first, what did we call it? It was a community day on the farm.
Right.
And we brought 5,000 people up to the farm that had never been there before. and they saw the piece of property. It's their Central Park. I mean, it's centrally located. It's over 200 acres for the entire property.
Right.
And that began a steamrolling effort of changing the narrative.
So we're really lucky because guess what? My daughter had Betty Hastings as a teacher at Salem Montessori. And
Yeah?
she's one of the people that volunteer to feed the animals.
Oh, wow.
So I have, with her, taken Laura and Catherine and I, and we've gone up there and fed the animals.
Awesome.
And you are just going back in time.
You are.
As soon as you get out of the car and start to walk towards it, you're on a farm. I mean, and it's in the middle of Winston-Salem.
You can look in any direction. You don't know you're in the middle of a thriving city.
Horses and the pigs and
And the cows and the-
Betty's son's got a chicken up in his and
Right.
and petting him and all this stuff, and so, and of course Betty's married to Michael Hastings, who you've heard of him.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah, I've heard of him a couple times.
he's okay cook.
Yeah, he's all right.
But so no, we just have a great time, and it's like, hey, when you need us to go, and they alternate weekends and volunteer, and I need to actually reach back out to her and go up there because it's just it's just a beautiful community inside of our community.
So do you know what's happened with the property?
You're going to tell me.
It's been preserved for 100 years.
Right, didn't somebody come in and donate
Piedmont Land Conservancy
That's
came
it,
in.
okay.
And so there should be walking trails, and they're going to cut access back over to the Thurman neighborhood as well. And yeah, that should be happening in the spring.
I knew that because McIntosh, I think, had called me about that, of, hey, we're all trying to raise money and stuff. But
Yeah.
now, will they still do the pumpkins and all that kind of stuff? Are they going to continue to do the little sales and stuff up there? Or do
We'll
we know?
see.
Okay.
We'll see how that happens.
Because that was kind of neat.
It was
Yeah.
neat.
But I mean, it's
really
also a
enjoyed that.
whole bunch of work.
It's a lot of labor.
Yeah, people don't understand that, when you go to these great things, like, we did that Pawpaw Festival for a long time over at the Cooperative Extension, and it's like, that's like 200 or 300 hours worth of work by 3 or 4 people, and then you turn around and then that day there's even more. So it's, these events are hard to do, but they're so wonderful when they can raise money to support things.
And people don't really understand, no matter how large the event is, the pre-planning for an event is about the same. I mean, I've done events for 10 sea levels, very high touch, up to 120,000 people at the Mall of America. And it really, the amount of planning is about the same.
I don't like that roller coaster.
I loved it. I really did. I miss events. If I had to pick one thing out of COVID that I missed the most, it's events.
Oh, I would agree.
And it's just bringing people together. I mean, I've done that all my life. I mean, even when I was a child, I was the guy throwing the parties that, okay, we'll put your mail back up. We're sorry.
Yep.
No,
I do miss events. I do miss gatherings. So, I don't know if you knew this, I'm president of the Realtors Association this year, and I was supposed to go, thank you. I was supposed to go to New Orleans, to D.C., to Chicago, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I got to go to Charlotte for 2 days, and that was at the very beginning of the year, and then everything else.
That's hardly a trip.
Well, it's still nice to see everybody. That's the thing. I think the thing that I miss the most, and I'm not a person that, like, you're saying after work you go have a drink or whatever, and you're not really drinking, you're just going to see people.
Right.
I've got a 6-year-old, so I'm rushing home to chill with my kid right now. But I miss that out of town, have a drink with a friend and get a tip or a nugget to help your business or help others.
Right. Yeah.
So what's your favorite thing? I mean, is Arts Unite? What's your favorite thing that you've been involved with? I mean, I want to go through all those.
Wow. I mean,
what's
really,
Arts Unite?
What's Artist Unite? Artist Unite was started, So it was actually an idea that was planted by Peter Wilbur.
Okay.
Peter Wilbur was a teacher at the Art Space School. Both my kids went to the Art Space School.
Okay.
Peter has left our fair city and going to do magic in the mountains now. So he's a teacher up near Asheville. But he came to me he was kind of hot after the 2016 election, and he wanted to do a protest.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, Peter. And he
Let's
came
try
at
to
it
spin
with
it
a lot of
positive.
energy.
Right,
And
yeah.
let's spin it to a positive.
Yeah.
Let's spin it to something that centers around peace and diversity. Because I think that was a message that we really needed at that point.
No one wants to hear the negativity. You
we
gotta
still
turn
need it
positive.
now.
Right, yeah.
So we kind of flipped it around to a showcase of all the various art forms that celebrate peace and diversity. So we had over 16 different art forms that we pulled together so many artists, from musicians to live painters to we had soliloquies, we had artist talks, and we packed in 3,200 people at the Art Center on Spruce Street on Inauguration Day.
Okay.
I remember Brianna Connor had just moved to town from WXII.
Okay.
And she came in to interview me, and she kept trying to corner me. Well, this is against Trump, right? And I was like, this has nothing to do with Trump. This truly is about artists uniting
this is us
for
trying to get a
peace and
message out.
diversity.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to get me to take that hook.
Right.
So we did the little dance, and, you know, it was fun. And then a few years later, I met somebody that just moved to town from Georgia, and his wife is a professor of divinity at Wake Forest, and he was just looking for things to do. And the Juneteenth celebration that year was the 400th anniversary of the first slaves being brought to Jamestown,
Right.
which is some historical scholarship that is kind of right, kind of not. We could actually go back 500 years, but we're not going to split that hair here.
Right.
So we came up with another iteration of Artists Unite, which was to celebrate the contributions of black artists. And we came up with kind of a new idea. As opposed to showcasing as many artists as we could, we kind of narrowed in on bringing in local, regional, and international artists and being able to bring them together around this idea. So we brought some folks here locally. LB the Poet, who was the Forsyth County Library's Poet of the Year a couple of years ago. He now runs the Midnight Poetry Jam at the Black Theater Festival each year. I introduced him to Weusi Baraka, who actually started that at the beginning of the theater festival, and introduced those two guys. They hit it off famously, and he's handing the reins off to him. And brought in Blitz the Ambassador from Ghana. So Blitz now just finished working on the last piece that Beyonce did for Disney. He is working with Ava DuVernay's Array Films. And he was here in Winston just a summer ago. And had about 50, 60 people show up, unfortunately.
Isn't it crazy how many people have a touch to Winston-Salem?
Oh, yeah. It is. And people don't even realize.
I got to call Catherine White because I know she's friends with somebody. I actually took arts classes with Angus and Phil.
Did you really?
And so I'm going to call Catherine today and see if I can. I'd love to have her on the show. We might do a Zoom with her because I know even though she's out in LA, I mean, she loves Winston. Yeah. And then try and see if she can get me in touch with Phil.
Yeah, the photos she's been showing from the fires out there are just...
Oh, yeah. My brother lives in LA, and it's and I've got some friends in San Francisco, and they're just posting stuff, and it's just like, it's scary.
It's apocalyptic.
Yeah.
It really is. It has that look. I mean, it could be shot for a film right now.
Yeah. No, it's just crazy.
See, I knew her as Kitty.
Right.
I've known her since the Morning Dew was where Burke Street Pizza is now.
So we went to high school together.
Did you?
If you can believe that. I think she's a couple years younger than me, so she would have been like a freshman when I was, so this would have been like, I met her probably in '85.
Okay.
Her sister, Jennifer, was graduated, I think, when I was a freshman, so she would have been '84. And then, you know, she kept coming back to Winston, obviously, not only to see friends, but to see her sister, and then we lost her sister, I think it was either earlier this year or last year.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, so, but the people are what are amazing to me. And as you've talked about all these different people and the things you started and stuff like that, you know, you can go back and, I mean, you know, products that were invented here, or, you know, that are home here, and people that are home here, it's just, Winston's just cool.
It is, yeah. And we've had our share of nefarious ideas as well that have come out of here.
What? Like, say that, like what?
I don't really want to go down that path in a very light, happy conversation here.
Yeah, right, yeah.
We can do another series.
Yeah, well, yeah. That'd be a good one. All right, so now we've talked about, you know, Artists Unite. What are other things you're involved in that people need to know about?
One of the things that kind of opened my eyes to a lot of Winston that I thought I knew, and it just kind of filled in all the blanks, was the Community Innovation Lab that was started by the Winston-Salem Foundation, Keenan Institute for the Arts, and the Arts Council.
Okay.
And also one of 12 people that were originally brought into the idea of how can we come together to create a more equitable and abundant Winston-Salem for everyone. And my focus was utilizing the arts to create conversations around race, class, power, gender, and privilege.
Right.
And I created an intentional collaboration with Authoring Action, Delta Arts Center, and our entity down at the Milton Road Center, Coffee Park Arts.
Right.
And we called it Intersections and Conversations.
Right.
And so we would bring artists, art, film, music, spoken word to people in places that they didn't necessarily expect, and we would generate conversations.
So you weren't pushing a toilet around on wheels downtown, right?
No, not like Owens, which I thought was gorgeous.
That's awesome. That was so amazing to me when he told me that story. So you mentioned your coffee park over at Milton Roads. So you've got that closed right now because of COVID.
Correct.
And coming back strong when things open back up.
We hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of famous people. I mean, you don't have like the theater manager from the Arts Council doesn't come and drink coffee here, right?
Every day he's right over there.
Yeah, right over there. So that's something that a lot of people, I think they know, but I don't think we always realize. I mean, we're the first arts council in the United States.
Exactly.
And we're very lucky to have them, and they do a lot of wonderful work. I'll ask you one kind of edgy question.
Okay.
We're the city of arts and innovation. And a lot of my guests want to debate that a little bit and say that we need to do more, we need to do less, or whatever like that. How do you feel about that moniker for our town, and are we doing enough arts?
It's aspirational.
It's aspiration.
And
we're not there yet.
It gives us something to aspire to all the time.
Right.
We have to ensure that the arts are integrated with the innovative approaches that we take to solving some of the more thorny and erroneous community problems.
Right.
And that's something I've been focused on for years now. And I do believe that the artist has probably one of the most important jobs in fixing our community. And because they can take some of the heat out of the argument, right, and bring people into a new line of thinking so that we can actually think through things together as opposed to arguing about them. And that's how we can actually make progress.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've always been interested in is how can we fulfill the dream of our founding documents?
I don't care who you vote for.
It's an experiment. Right. And it has always been an experiment. And we have to continue hypothesizing. We have to use the scientific method, so to speak.
Right. I don't care who you vote for. I just care that you got to love people.
Right.
And if you can do that, I don't care. And that's what I'm finding hard for people to do now, is to care about people. Everyone wants to push their agenda on other people.
Exactly.
I could sit here and expound on whoever the candidate is, and if you're not going to vote for him, why am I wasting my air? Let's talk about something positive.
Let's just respect humanity.
Right.
And that's the thing. If we could just all do that.
Right. As a, I'm Mr. Segway. I don't know if you knew this. So we'll do this. We'll talk about, let's talk about an artist that's being forgotten today, and that is a coffee artist. So we're going to let Stabler go play in the Airstream and see it, and then we'll come back after that, okay?
Cool. Sounds good.
Welcome back, everybody. Before we, when we end things, I also wanted Stabler to get inside. So what is the inside section of Coffee Park while we're sitting here? And of course, Tommy Priest with the Airstream and Coffee Park and everything.
We just realized, and the opportunity happened, that we needed a place for folks to be able to sit and hang out as opposed to just driving through.
So it's storage.
It is storage.
In a fancy way. I mean, do you sell the syrups and stuff like that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so that is,
If it's not nailed down, I'll sell it.
Okay. Yeah. And by the way, this plant is from who?
Dancing Iris Earthscapes.
And it's for sale right now if you want to come get it here. But as we finish up today, I have 2 or 3 little questions I want to ask, and one is because you and I have something in common, and that's being the father of a daughter. Pretty darn cool.
It is.
And you have 2 daughters?
I have 2 daughters, yes.
So tell me about that. So tell me about your family a little bit.
We're a family of artists.
Okay.
My wife's an artist. My kids are artists.
And you occasionally take a picture or 2?
A few. A few.
Right.
Yeah. I love photography, and what I like about photography, I like shooting people.
Right.
Again,
Same as Owens.
It's all about.
If you can get that perfect shot of the expression that tells the whole story,
Indeed. Yeah.
that's your day.
And I don't do portraiture. I
Right.
do events. I
Right.
do people in situ.
Right.
You know, where they're comfortable, where they're, well, whatever they're doing. Yeah, and
I
try
love
to
shooting
capture
my
that
little
emotion.
dog. I love shooting my daughter, just doing little things. Like, last night we were playing with slime, and it's like, I want to get the camera out, but then it's like,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
I need to participate in it and stuff like that. That's hard.
Yeah. So I have my youngest daughter, Maddie, is a freshman at Reynolds, virtually,
All right.
currently. So that's been an interesting foray into high school.
Right.
Both of my kids went to the arts-based school, K
Right.
through 8,
Right.
which I cannot speak highly enough of.
Good school.
That curriculum, the way that it prepares kids is unmatched.
Right.
It truly is, because the arts are integral into learning.
Yep.
And that's something that, unfortunately, our public school systems across the country have limited art supplies, limited arts classes, and I find that really unfortunate, because I watched my children thrive under that environment, and I've seen so many children thrive under that environment.
Yeah, we do Montessori, and I would agree. I think that the arts-based school and Montessori have a lot in common,
Yeah.
with the sense of let the
Definitely.
kids do what the kids do. I will tell you that one of the things that I'm missing this year is it happens every year with regards to the miniature nutcracker that they do at the art. What an awesome program that
Right.
is. And when you have a small child and you go to that, I mean, it gets them just enough of it, and it's a fundraiser for the school, and those are the things that I hate that I'm missing. Yeah.
I hear you.
And so
Indeed.
then your daughter's at App as well?
My oldest daughter's at App.
Okay.
Her name's Marley, and she's wow. She's kind of a chip off the old block.
Okay.
And then some.
Right?
So she's gone to my alma mater,
Right.
Appalachian, and went there because of finances. Because she did get into new school
Right.
in New York.
Right.
We just couldn't bridge that gap, unfortunately. But she's an overachiever type style, so she'll be 18 when she graduates with her bachelor's.
I'm sorry. I started at 18. I
Yeah,
think.
right.
Right.
Yeah,
so,
me too.
so how does that happen?
She ended up going to early college of Forsyth after she finished at arts-based.
Okay.
And that's part of the Forsyth County school system.
All right. So she's eighth grader. And I don't understand why they graduate from different things like kindergarten, eighth grade. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So she goes eighth grade, and then she starts taking classes at the same time she's at Reynolds, or no?
Or she was at the early college of Forsyth, which
Okay.
is a separate high school program
Right.
that is integrated within Forsyth
And getting
Tech
college
as well.
credits the whole time.
So she did 2 years of college and 4 years of high school in 3 years.
So she takes after your wife when it comes to.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, my wife, she has her own photo firm right now called
Okay.
Jane Rocket Media.
Okay.
And she shoots real estate. Hint,
Right.
hint.
I got you.
So always plug that.
Yeah, we'll have to put that in there, and of course, remind me
Yeah.
of that. We'll definitely put that in the hashtags.
So both the kids got a double dose of kind of creative and that just kind of that viewpoint.
Right.
Because whenever we get right down to it, it's about your point of view.
Right.
So we've tried to allow our children to be able to express their point of view unfettered,
That's so cool.
and they do that
Yeah.
quite well.
Sometimes it's solicited, sometimes it's unsolicited, right?
Yeah. They both.
But you got to play the dad card every once in a while.
I live for my kids.
Yeah. That's what it's about. It's
Indeed.
amazing how much God knew the thing to do to me was to give me a daughter to teach me for all the stupidity I did throughout my life. And he laughs every day. Every day. Yeah.
Man plans, God laughs.
Yep. So I always, one of the things I always say is if people woke up and remember there are three things in life that every man wakes up to do, and that's to, one, provide for his family through shelter or food. So shelter, food, and the last thing is not piss off your spouse. How are we different in any other way?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, all right, coffee. What do you love about coffee? And then what I
love about coffee is
this right here, right? The conversation.
That first mug of coffee at 5 years old at Grandma's house. She's
Okay.
like, here, you should try this. And I still have that mug. And waking up to the smell of the percolator in our house
Right.
every morning. And it just, I don't know what it was. And then coffee became, my dad was a manager for Radio Shacks for years and years. And there was always a pot of coffee in the back room.
Right.
And again, it's that smell
Yep.
that just evokes so
It's
many
home,
memories.
conversations. Right.
Memories.
Yeah.
And then coffee became an Appalachian when Beanstalk opened up, which was like my first experience with gourmet coffee.
Right. The fancy stuff.
The fancy stuff and the Italian stuff, and then
Right.
understanding
And
that
then
it
the
was a tradition. It was, I don't know. It provided, again, a sense of community.
Right.
We gathered around a cup of coffee, and we were all elated as opposed to depressed in the bar.
Right.
Which I spent plenty of time in the bar too
Oh,
at
yeah.
that age.
Yeah.
But still, the coffee shop was where the real connections happened.
Right.
And then coming back,
Coffee shop's the bar of the morning.
come back to Winston,
Yeah.
and then the Morning Dew opened up in '95. And again, a lot of the community, the true grassroots, you can tie back to that moment in time because that's where we all met. It's where we all hung out. It's where we threw ideas out. We created. We did poetry. People drew. They played chess, and they had crazy conversations about literally everything in life. And
Right.
now you see some of these folks that were there are now business owners that we all look up to. And that's across the board. I mean, Cranky's, I don't think would have happened
Right.
without the Morning Dew,
Right.
because that provided kind of a fertile breeding ground for ideas.
What is the coolest thing that has happened to you as a result of coffee? Famous person, cool situation, solve the world's problems. What do you think of there?
It would have to go back to the Community Innovation Lab.
Okay.
I mean, because that coffee provided that opportunity. I met Jim Sparrow, who was the CEO of the Arts Council at
Right.
the time, here because he was going to meet with Bruce Anderson at Idlewild House because
Right.
he just moved to town and he needed furnishings for his house.
Right.
And he showed up early, and we just started a conversation and found out he was from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I was like, oh, I did an event in Fort Wayne back in the day, and we talked about that and the arts district that he helped elevate. And then he came here, and he just remembered the conversations that we had.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I got the phone call from him about that opportunity.
Right.
And yeah, that was probably the highlight of coffee in some respects. I mean, working with this team across the street to save that property, that was
a win.
if I do nothing else in my life, I know that place is here for all of us, and that's enough.
That may be a precursor to my next question. We got two left for you.
Okay.
Tommy, what do you want to be remembered for when you leave this earth?
Being supportive of my community and my
Okay.
family,
All right.
my immediate family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we all want to be a great dad and a husband.
You know, whenever I was in my 20s, I would, spend a lot of time thinking about legacy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what do I want to be remembered for?
Yep.
And that has changed over time. At some points, I wanted to be remembered as a writer. Other times, I wanted to be remembered as a photographer. And then once I had kids, that all changed.
Instantly.
I just want to be remembered as I was supportive of my kids,
Right.
my wife, and those around me.
Well, you've already accomplished that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, there's no question about that. And getting the conservatory, the Piedmont Conservatory, you say it.
Piedmont Land Conservancy.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. There's certain words that I'll snag on, and
Oh, I
I
hear
can
you.
never spell the word restaurant. I always have to think that one out all the way.
Gotcha.
Restaurant.
Yeah.
Getting them involved, the PLC, just that's a huge feather.
It's it's amazing.
And what's neat is it's so close to work
It
that
is.
you can just walk over there and walk around
Exactly.
and
Right.
talk on the phone
And escape.
Yeah, escape.
I mean, you literally can escape.
All right, so as we come to a close of this episode of Camel City Chat, and I can't thank you enough for being our guest, the question that I want to ask you is, you've been here for a while. You know where Winston's been. Where do you want to see us go? What's your dream for Winston-Salem? and its citizens, and everything about it that you and I both love.
I want us to become more supportive of those that have the least. And we are a very charitable city, both individuals and organization-wide. But we've got a lot of issues in this town that go back well over 100 years. And if we can come together and put down our agendas and at least come together on one idea, that if one of us is suffering, we're all suffering. And then how do we fix it together? Because we can't do it individually, and we evidently can't do it from one organization to the other. We have to create intentional collaborations amongst multiple entities, whether that be individuals, organizations, governmental, and/or nonprofits, and start addressing these issues. And there's so many folks in this town that are committed to this idea, that I think that we have a possibility to correct some of these ills. But again, we find ourselves, at this point in our country where we're so polarized. And I've watched this polarization happen since I started paying attention to politics when I was 5 years old. The Carter-Ford run. And I'm a wonk. I mean, I will look deep down into policy, and I look through it from a complexity lens and look through it from various lenses of the people that I meet, because every person that I meet adds a new lens to how I can observe. And so that goes back to the anthropology thing, it goes back to the critical theory thing, and this is a grand opportunity, and I can't speak enough about doing it together.
The one fact that I learned as I got into this was the fact that Forsyth County, if you're born poor, you're going to die poor.
Yep. No upward mobility.
There's no upward mobility. Love Out Loud, Lou Baldwin had introduced me to that. They go to Cranky's, and have, I guess, a coffee there, and they do the motley crew of people, all race, religion, colors, and national creeds, and sit and just talk about change. You definitely are one of those people that, ever since I've become aware of you, I know you care. I know that you want what's best for everybody, and I don't like living in a county that has such a negative national connotation to it with that, and we've got to figure out a way to change it.
We do. I mean, we're the third worst place in the United States to grow up poor. There are two Native American reservations that are worse off than we are. Two. And they're both in South Dakota. That's not good company.
So we got to change it.
And we can. I mean, I've seen a lot of positive results just over the past several years.
Oh, yeah.
People coming together and figuring out new pathways and taking new approaches to economic disparity. We've got a long, long, long road ahead of us, though. We've got to elevate people, elevate not only their position, but also elevate their spirit, because it's real easy to not care when you don't feel like anybody cares.
And I look forward to you sharing with us how to change that through all the things you do, and you'll keep us posted.
If I had the way to do it,
yes. It would involve a lot of coffee.
It will.
All right.
Always.
So what's our street address here?
1208 Renolda Road, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. It's our magnificent mile, because if you travel from Wake Forest University all the way up to Broad and 6th Street intersection, there's not one corporate, national, international, anything. It's all local. And that's really the
And you're
thing
huge
I love
on supporting
about this town.
local.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. It's very easy to come here, get your coffee, and go
Oh,
to
yeah, you
wherever
can be
you
in
need
and
to be.
out in just a
Yep.
couple of minutes.
And they're going both sides.
Yeah, we have 2 lanes.
Yeah, I walked up in the back here and got something, at the beginning, and But I've always come on the other side, so it's kind of weird to see that.
Yeah.
But no, we appreciate you taking the time with us today.
Thank you very much, sir.
We want to get your wife's information so we can tag it in there if you want us to for the.
Yeah,
for her.
definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Folks, you've just watched another episode of Camel City Chat. We do have a little show sponsor, so I'll say the name of it, and you tell me if you've heard of it before, and that'd be Smitty's Notes.
Oh yeah.
Jeff's a great friend of the show, and so we're
Jeff.
Yeah, we're trading off, making sure that
Pillar
we
of the
push each other.
community.
Oh my gosh, can you believe that guy?
I know.
Awesome. So
what he helped knit together was instrumental in where we are now.
You're welcome to give him all the credit, but I think you've got some in there too. You've done an excellent job with getting people together, and I appreciate you. All right, cool. We'll be back next week with more Camel City Chat.